I don't have much to read tonight. I just have Psalms 93. So I'm going to go ahead and read it. The Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed. He is girded with strength. Yea, the world is established. It shall never be moved. Thy throne is established from of old. Thou art from everlasting. The floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their roaring, mightier than the thunders of many waters, mightier than the waves of the sea. The Lord on high is mighty. Thy decrees are very sure. Holiness befits thy house, O Lord, forevermore. I believe this is David writing this and speaking this, and just reminding himself and maybe whoever else is around him about, the majesty of the Lord and how he is the God who was, who is, and who always will be. And there's nothing that's mightier than him. And one verse or two verses that stick out to me, one being the very last one that says, Thy decrees are very sure, and holiness befits thy house. Saying, holiness befits thy house. And just for us going into this new year, how are we going to decide to walk out our lives? Are we going to make sure that we are as holy as we can be, and that we are as pure as we can be, with no faults being able to be found within us? And also when it said floods, where it says in verse 3, the floods have lifted up, O Lord. The floods have lifted up their voice. The floods lift up their roaring. And then it says, mightier than the thunders of many waters. And so when it says mightier than the thunders of many waters, I believe that when he's saying the word floods there, that he's not talking about a literal flood, but he's talking more maybe metaphorically about the people's voice being lifted up. And I think that, a lot of people have been praying recently this past year, and I think going into this year, maybe we need to start lifting up our voice more in prayer, and just becoming a little bit more steadfast, and what most people call your prayer life. That might not be necessarily the most appealing phrase to everyone or to most people, but I think that we need to become more fervent in our prayer, and more steadfast and more consistent in praying, and not just praying a little and then being done, but actually coming to God consistently, praying about things, whether it's the will that he has over our lives, or whether it's a work that he wants you to do. Whatever it is, I think that we need to become more like a flood, where we are just consistently praying and praying and praying and pouring out prayers, because we know that prayer works. And I, for one, could say that I really do believe that Satan is trying very, very hard to get us to be quiet and to not pray. And one scripture that's coming to me right now is how Jesus says to love your enemies, right? And to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And how often are we praying for the people around us, friends, family, who might be walking away from God, or not quite pursuing him as much? Like, how hard are we praying for those people? Or are we just saying, well, that's a lost cause, they're not doing right, they're not doing this, they're not, we're pointing out all the obvious, but are we actually taking the time to stop and pray for them? But then also praying over our own lives, and praying for us to stay holy this year.